Welcome to Crypto West Coast, where we discuss everything crypto from a Canadian perspective. My name's Damien, and today we're going to look at Bitcoin and see that it's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing and what I mean by that. But first, let's take a look at Bitcoin's price over the week. If we go to CoinGecko and we look at Bitcoin over the last 14 days, we can see that it was increasing in value and got just over $60,000. But on Wednesday, we can see the price dipped down and just barely touched $56,000. And people were panicking. This was evident on YouTube chats and on Twitter and on Facebook pages, and people didn't know what was going on. If we take a look at this model, which is called the Bitcoin stock to flow cross asset model, which was created by a person who goes by the name Plan B, Bitcoin is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. If you want to know more about how this model works, I'll add the link down below, but Plan B has in this article explains how his model works. Going back to the model, the white line indicates the market value, expected value of the market, and it basically goes in 4 years based on the Bitcoin 4-year cycle from each halving. If you don't know what the Bitcoin halving is, you can do your own research and find out about that. But if we look here along the bottom, we have the colors, and it indicates how many months we are away from the next halving. So red is far away, and blue is right when the halving happens. So anytime we go from blue to red is a halving. And we see here at the near the end of 2012, we had a halving, and the price of Bitcoin was approximately $10. And by near the end of 2013, it hit its all-time high of just over $1,000. And it, of course, has its ups and downs, but it's right along the line of what the expected market value is. Right here in 2016, we had a halving, and Bitcoin proceeded to reach its all-time high near the end of 2017. And then it settled in at this market expected value. And then in 2020, we had a halving right here, and Bitcoin is progressing on its way to the next expected market value. And if we look at what it's projected at, it's right here in between $100,000 and $1 million. So according to the model, the expected value could settle in at $500,000. And this is why people using this model and other models have given predictions about where Bitcoin will be at its next all-time high. And in Plan B's tweets here, he's talking how each month the price of Bitcoin closed higher as he puts new dots. And here's the dots down here at the bottom. He's just plotting as the months go by the price of Bitcoin. So as we see down here, these dots mirror what's happening up above. So he's just saying it's doing what the model is saying it should be doing. Another way to look at Bitcoin's doing what it's supposed to be doing is if we take a look at this article by Carl Jung, which I'll leave the link down below. And he has a nicely presented chart which shows the Bitcoin halvings as the red line, followed by its all-time high, and then the next Bitcoin halving at the red line, and its all-time high of $20,000, and its third Bitcoin halving with the red line, which happened back in May 2020. And we don't know where it's going to end up, but on his chart, he's got a value of $325,000 with 3 question marks. But it does show you that Bitcoin is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Taking a look at some recent news stories, we have this one. JP Morgan says Bitcoin's decreasing volatility makes it more appealing to institutions, revises Bitcoin price prediction to $130,000. I'm not going to read it all, but some of the highlights here. It says, considering how big the financial investment into gold is, any such crowding out of gold as an alternative currency implies big upside for Bitcoin over the long term. And then it goes on to say down here, a convergence in volatilities between Bitcoin and gold is unlikely to happen quickly and is likely a multi-year process. This implies that the above $130,000 theoretical Bitcoin price target should be considered as a long-term target. So they're expecting it to go up, but not tomorrow. Another news story. Blockchain and crypto startups raised $2.6 billion in Q1 of 2021. This figure surpasses the 2020 total by $300 million. And it just says that there's so many other companies getting involved in Bitcoin and blockchain technology. And this chart shows us that here in 2021 already, just starting the second quarter of the year, we are ahead of the entire 2020 year and will very likely surpass the all-time high of 2018. Another story, 5 reasons why Bitcoin will likely see new all-time highs soon. Now, I read this article. I couldn't find the 5 reasons, but reason 1, they say whales stop selling. So whales are anyone that has more than 1,000 Bitcoin associated to a wallet. So whales have stopped selling, so they are holding on to their Bitcoin, as this Glassnode graph shows. And Glassnode is a site you can go to look at graphs. You can Google that. Second reason they give is miners have turned into Bitcoin accumulators again. So miners, they mine the Bitcoin, and in order to generate revenue, they sell their Bitcoins. But again, according to the Glassnode analytics, miners are not selling as much and holding on to more. And that would indicate that they are anticipating a higher Bitcoin price in the future. A third item here basically says that because of the pandemic, more and more people and institutions have been accumulating greater quantities of Bitcoin. In this article, Fidelity, which is a large investment firm, says Bitcoin adoption will keep accelerating. We've reached a tipping point. And just right here in the opening comments, it says Fidelity's head of digital assets says that Bitcoin adoption will continue at an accelerated pace, noting that we've reached a tipping point. He explained that investors are increasingly drawn to Bitcoin, particularly in an environment where we've seen unprecedented monetary and fiscal stimulus from central banks and governments in response to the pandemic. Bloomberg, a financial analysis company, foresees Bitcoin rallying to $400,000 this year. Right here it says Bitcoin rhymes with 2013 and 2017, and their model says that Bitcoin could peak at $400,000 if it follows what happened in 2013 and 2014. So I can't leave you with everything rainbows and unicorns regarding Bitcoin. So here's an article that says economists say Bitcoin isn't too big to fail. It warns that Bitcoin can only establish itself if governments allow it. It says here, Allianz Chief Economic Advisor Mohammed Al-Arian, I think I got that right, says that Bitcoin is not too big to fail and that governments may intervene. While he believes that cryptocurrency will grow in popularity, the economist says it takes away a lot from governments, adding that this asset can only establish itself if governments allow it to. So, and then it goes on to explain his point. He says here, I tend to tell people, be really careful. This is an asset that wants to establish itself, but it can only establish itself if governments allow it to, and it takes away a lot from governments. I started this video explaining that Bitcoin is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. I shared the stock to flow model and some news stories that say just that. Bitcoin is doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's increasing value over time, and it will continue to do so. Now, models are just models. They may predict the future, but they don't exactly tell us the future. Anything could happen. Black swan events like COVID could happen, change of governments could happen, change of law, and that will affect the price of Bitcoin and any digital asset. So, until something changes, we continue to do our research. If we find that Bitcoin is something that we want to invest into, we continue to dollar cost average in. There are so many other projects out there. Ethereum, for example, is a completely different blockchain. And besides that, I shared in a previous video how the Ethereum Mafia, which are the creators of Ethereum who have branched out to do their own projects, such as Cardano and Polkadot, are creating their projects, and they are also increasing value over time. So I hope you enjoyed this video, that you can see that Bitcoin is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks.